Am I good to go? All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I'm CCPJS. I'm one of the producers on EVE Vanguard. Just want to start by saying thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for coming. It's my first Fanfest. It's my first time in Iceland. I've had an amazing time meeting all of you. So yeah, just thanks to all of you, really. And thanks for having the energy after last night to show up. Cool. So I've got my phone. I'm going to be looking for some notes. I'm not like texting while paneling, so yeah, don't worry. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. Yeah, I'll come sit down with everyone. Scott, do you want to go over so I can talk to all of you at the same time? Sorry.
He's got a microphone on his chair.
I know. It's because I'm so quiet. I need it. Yeah. Yeah. I need my own personal mic right close to my face. Cool. There was one other little bit of housekeeping as well to do, which is just that please don't film the panel. We've got a really cool camera at the back that is going to film it, and it's going to be fabulous, and we're going to put it up on YouTube in the next week or so. So you'll be able to watch this whole thing back and examine it for clues and stuff then. But yeah, so I just wanted to jump straight in, really. I know Oh yes, I absolutely should have done that. Thank you. Sorry. So yeah, let's start with everybody on the panel. So CCP Collins.
Is this working? Oh, maybe too well. Yeah, I was about to say my real name. I don't mind. I'm Scott. Hello, I'm Scott. I'm CCP Collins, and I'm the game director on EVE Vanguard. No, go on.
Hello. Hey, hello. I'm CCP Peaceful, and I'm the community developer on EVE Vanguard.
Hey, I'm CCP Not a Dude. No, I'm CCP Raven, and I'm the lead technical artist.
Hi everyone, I am CCP Vipex and I'm the art director.
Awesome. Sorry for forgetting all of you, but this is all about me. That's what I was told.
You'll talk show now.
I've been waiting to tell that joke all Fanfest, by the way.
So yeah, I unfortunately I missed your keynote.
Never forgiving you. Never forgiving you.
I know. It's not my fault. It's that I was kept in
My fault.
I was locked in with the press, which is really cool. But I wanted to start by, I heard you guys nailed it, but I wanted to just get your initial reaction and how it went and what the reaction's been. Yeah, comments.
Yeah, I just swore a lot. But no, I think it felt amazing. Felt really good. It felt like we had a crowd there for the first time that was like there for us, which is really exciting. Like normally, this is the first time we've had our own keynote, so to actually go there, see people wearing the merch, even dressed up in cosplay, like is absolutely insane. So yeah, I'm still buzzing from the vibe from the keynote earlier.
Awesome, cool. Jordan, you were not on the keynote.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely buzzing. I think there was definitely a lot of nerves for me leading up to it. Like backstage, we were like doing star jumps and jumping up and down. Like the adrenaline was like crazy, but it was just so good to talk about the thing that we've been working on for so long. So no, it was great.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was my first keynote. So those of you who don't know, I actually got introduced to CCP through Fanfest way before I even went to school for game dev, right? So I was out there like in that crowd, drinking, going on the pub crawls, whatever. I didn't know what the word animation meant. You know what I mean? It's been 12 or 13 years since then. And then doing that like full circle and standing on stage in front of you guys, like it took, I'm not gonna cry now, but you know, it's amazing, you know what I mean? It's amazing. Maybe. but like Scott said, like coming there and like knowing that the people in the crowd are there just to see us, it's amazing. So thank you so much, guys. It was really great.
And so I know you weren't you weren't speaking.
I was not.
At the keynote, but I know you've been like really close, obviously, with the community in the build up to this, and you've been playing the game.
Yeah. Hey, CCP Massey.
Who are you?
Oh, God. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm CCP Massey. I'm Senior Game Designer on EVE Vanguard.
Hey.
And I'm late, and I'm sorry.
Yeah. We'll come back to Massey once he's got his breath back and turn to a normal shade of pale as opposed to bright red. But so
Yeah, so I was watching from the crowd with all the other nerds, and it was great. I was watching the Twitch chat and stuff because obviously being a community developer, I have to be in touch with the community. And the Twitch chat, like we absolutely use Twitch chat for direction in the game. No, I'm joking. Obviously not. But the Twitch chat was like energetic. They were like asking loads of questions about Vanguard and stuff. And it's like it's like we're at a point now where we can open up a lot more to the EVE community. And I think they're starting to be like, oh, this is actually super interesting what we're creating, which is nice. Yeah. So
How's your hangover?
I'm I'm on my. I've had a couple of beers, so I'm just like it was either make or break, and I think it's making me. And I'll go to the hotel after this. So.
And Massey, how have you found? Have you had a chance to speak to anyone since your big keynote? And how have you found Fanfest and doing that big speech to everybody?
Yeah, no, it was great. It's been really nice to come and actually speak to people and be able to finally kind of talk about what it is that we're doing with the game in a bit more detail. I think we're really landing on something over the last few months that we're all really proud of and really excited to kind of get into players' hands. And yeah, it's going to be super exciting going into the next public playtest in the Nemesis event to really kind of show people how we're growing this from what has started as something that kind of looked like an extraction shooter, and people were kind of going, I wonder where they're going to go with this. Is this going to kind of meet what it is that I want this game to be? And we'll be able to be much more confident in showing like, well, it's an MMO FPS, and be able to say that confidently without a Momophopus, and be much more confident that like that is what we're actually building than just saying it and hoping that things fall together. So yeah, I've had a great time, and I hope people have enjoyed hearing more about Vanguard.
Awesome. And so actually, one of the things that I've been asked about a lot, talking to the press and talking to players as well, obviously, is one of the things that I think you and Colin said, which is that the guns has been a big thing, and this idea of them being like a throwback to the sort of golden era of sci-fi shooters like Halo and Unreal Tournament. And just wondered if you could talk about that reaction and sort of a bit more, I guess, on the philosophy of your thinking of creating those weapons that way.
Yeah, so it kind of just came out of like having group exercises in the office when we were talking about like, well, we've got an assault rifle in the game now, and you know it's fine. It's doing what we need it to do. It's allowing us to kind of build our foundations of what we need our shooter systems to be, and give us confidence that we can deliver something cool. But then when we started to look at like, well, we have to start to serve these other shooter weapon archetypes to sort of build the kind of combat puzzle and get those long-range engagements in a good place and get short-range engagements in a good place. And we go, well, do we just want to build out shotguns and SMGs and snipers and stuff like that? What do they start to look like? And as we started to get more feedback from the team internally of going like, hey, if we were going to build a pistol, what would you want it to look like? And if we were going to build a shotgun, what would you want it to look like? And it was so clear that there was so much nostalgia amongst the team that those games that you mentioned are kind of at the forefront of people's minds still, even 20 years down the line. It's like, if we're building a sci-fi shooter and we're able to kind of build things from the ground up, why would we not want to harken back to stuff that is really interesting compared to the modern military themes that people have kind of seen before? We can build a lot more kind of different mastery tracks into the game with the different guns that we put into people's hands, which just gives us so much more identity and so much more just different progression loops for people to go through and master different parts of the game, which feeds into that kind of, the diversity of the EVE Online experience is all of the different ways that you can specialize. If you're going to build a first-person shooter which feels like it's kind of narrow, how can you kind of widen that funnel a little bit? And those old school games were doing it in abundance. Every single weapon required a different, level of mastery, and you could go to a weapon that you really don't use and just be completely useless. So for us, it's a super natural progression, and the team was so excited to try and build those weapons that, it's here to stay. We're just going to be building weird and wacky sci-fi weapons for the near and far future, hopefully.
And sorry.
Well, I was going to say it was quite clear. Like I remember we were first conversation we had about it, which was like you almost doing some internal research, which is like going around and asking people like, what are your favorite pistols from weapons, right? And nobody's going, it's the tactical 9mm from Call of Duty 4, right? We're all going, it's the Deagle from Counter-Strike, it's the plasma pistol from Halo, right? We were always choosing these ones that were archetypal pistols but weren't strictly modern day pistols, right? So it's great to see, I've been, harkening on about wanting a flat cannon in the game for quite some time now, so I was very happy to see the shotgun that you made was very reminiscent of that. So it's like, it's just, is interesting. I don't want to boil it down to it's just cooler, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, but it kind of is. When you're given the ability to push things a little bit further with a sci-fi shooter, than if you were building something that was modern day or World War II or something. There's really only so much you can push it before things start to feel wrong. We're in a sci-fi space and in a universe as diverse as New Eden. It's crazy to not want to leverage how far you can push things. And as developers, it's so much more fun to be thinking of things that way.
yeah, and it's been immediately validated. Like the response we've got from everyone when just talking about that's our inspiration, but also from the press. We've been speaking to a lot of press here, and it's been coming up a lot that they say it's just really great that we're choosing to take it in that direction where a lot of modern shooters are feeling a little samey and that they all have their version of the AR-15. I know that's where we started, but they all have their version of a submachine gun. So it's really cool for us and quite freeing to just make some really, really crazy stuff. And a big shout out as well to the team building a set of tools that allow us to just create some absolute wacky weapons in Unreal 5 as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wonder if I can bounce that to Vipex actually to talk about how that breadth and diversity allows us to do interesting stuff with the art direction too, because I think that's something that we haven't really seen because those early prototypes were, pretty quick things for the team to throw together to give us something to play with. But the more that we talk about what we could do with the visual identity that reflects the diversity of the EVE universe, it's so exciting with the weapons.
Yeah, and I think one of the exciting things that we've got is because there's so many factions, empires, corporations, EVE Online, that the breadth that we can sort of express different types of weapons, different types of animation, sounds it's I don't want to say unlimitless, but it kind of is at the moment because there's so much to work with. And so when we're kind of like prototyping, it's kind of like, let's just make anything that we want and it will fit a faction somewhere. So that's been, I think, kind of really exciting. And especially with the like the shotgun, like the Minotaur shotgun, it's like, that is naturally the most analog thing in EVE Online, but analog 21,000 years in the future is a really interesting challenge. And and I think what we're doing at the moment is, I think, kind of really exciting.
I'm excited for people to see more of like where those concepts develop as well, because the things that they're seeing are super, super early. Like I can't describe like just how early and quick they were for certain people to throw together. And we've started working with the concept art team to really kind of finalize like where we think we're going to go with their shotgun. And I think people are going to be super excited by what they see.
Speaking of art, the other thing that I've been asked a lot about is the maps and how we're going to like service this huge galaxy of planets with different maps. And so Raven, I know you shared a video yesterday that was actually really mind-blowing even to people on the team who kind of knew what they were doing. We were just like, what the hell is this? When did you do this? So yeah, could you talk a bit about what you've been up to and maybe go a bit deeper into some of the details if you can?
Yeah. So for those of you who maybe know a bit about how games are made, one of the issues that we always have is performance. Obviously, we need to be able to hit performance on everything that we do. But
Are you leading into no ice maps again?
you will have no ice map. he got a jungle instead. But with the changes that came in Unreal 5, we were able to start thinking a bit more broadly on, how we're going to work. And our team is really small, so we have to be very agile. We have to be very smart about which tools we build and how and what we want to achieve with them. So we came up basically with we didn't come up with it, but we decided to work with like modular maps. We wanted to make maps more modular. But they need to be smart as well, because putting something into a container and just reusing it is just going to get old really fast. So how do we take that and turn it into something that can be reused without you guys knowing that it's reused content, so we can make it faster? Because like I said, there's 68,000 planets in that universe, and if we want to even get a fraction of those into the game, we have to be really smart about it. So yeah, we're coming up with like a modular world building. It's just smart prefabs. Like you create a little POI or you create a level and you want to place it into another one, and it needs to be smart. It needs to blend in. It needs to react to the environment. The tools have to be smooth. The designers and artists need to love using them. So we've basically been on an 8-month R&D, just research and development right, trying to figure out how to do that best. Because how many artists do we have? I think we have 6, 7.
You're gonna make me count now.
Yeah, of the people that actually work in the universe, and we have 2 level designers and a few designers. So it's a small team, right? So they need the right tools to be able to do that. And thankfully, our our team is bloody amazing. So we are the glue that keeps this company together. Okay. Nope.
Technically, that's me and Dave, but sure.
No.
And the rest of
It's
production.
me. No.
Shout out to our development director in the front row, CCP Dave T.
But yeah, I think we have achieved quite a bit. I think it's going to be a much smoother ride because what you played in Carrion and in, Maelstrom Solstice is, I am not kidding when I say everything is hand placed. Every single detail in that map is hand placed. We can't make maps like that, right? Like we can't spend 8 months making one map. We want to give you, and please no producer kill me for this, but we would like to be able to do like 10 maps in the same amount of time, or 15 maps, or something that we can
More.
The machine is
But
hungry.
that's the thing, right?
68,000.
And if we want to keep you guys interested and like give you the variety that you're looking for, like we need to be a lot smarter about it.
And I think what you shown today with the mangrove swamps is this isn't a map. This is a biome set for level design to create many maps with. And it's an interesting challenge, an interesting way of thinking how to build maps going forward, or how to build sets going forward. So a lot of the things that we've been speaking in the art team is, if we have a metamorphic sedimentary like rock set, we can then mix that with vegetation, different colors, and then we can hopefully expand, the sets that we've got. Well, what's happening?
Just gonna offer us a glass of water. He was just chugging his beer. It was a long night.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting way how to approach maps going forward.
Awesome. So just because I'm selfish, I want to just wind Collins up and let him talk about Bastions for a bit. Oh, okay. You happy? Yeah. Just interested to hear. I think that's the other thing I've been hearing a lot about, and I think people.
Yeah, it's really about us. Like we can say this is an MMO FPS. Momophopus until we're blue in the face.
Sounds like a cat-like Pokemon.
Momophopus, yeah, it does, yeah. I'm not going to be able to unthink that now.
Yeah.
But we can say it's an MMO FPS until we're blue in the face. But we really need to start actually figuring out what that means, because I think, for me, the MMO aspect of it, it's not only that you're having a social experience; it's the glue between all of your different deployments. It's the purpose and the reason and the persistence between each and one of your deployments and the reason that you can keep doing that. I think something that EVE Online does tremendously well is it puts players at the heart of that meta, right? The reasons you're making decisions, the reasons you're going here versus going there are largely player driven, right? And a lot of the content that EVE Online are putting out now, like freelance jobs, is putting you at the heart of working with each other or fighting each other and stuff like that. So really, for us, it was quite easy to lean into that, into the idea of how we wanted, what was the MMO aspect of Vanguard, and Bastions kind of came naturally in terms of how we start carving out New Eden territorially, the same way that it kind of is in EVE Online, and the idea that we can put players in a specific point in space, and then they have access to an area around them, and that players are now starting to work together and now even start to fight against each other for these areas of space, just kind of came natural to us. And I think how we wanted there to be like a journey that players go on, that when they start the game, they start one place in the universe, and that over time they can start to move to other parts of the universe, and they're going on a journey from even, high sec through lull sec, lull sec. Ooh, that'll be a nice one. Nice little sleepy sec, lull sec, low sec and null sec, and they can go on this journey through that, and they feel like they're becoming more powerful, and the challenges are becoming more difficult as they move through that. And you don't get that in a modern shooter, because when that round ends, that's it. you come back, a bar fills up, and then you go down and you do another round. Is that you're not really affecting the universe in some way. There are games that obviously have some level of persistence, Destiny 2, but that does that in a very kind of narrative and story-driven way. Or you have Helldivers, which is a really good example of all the players contributing towards a persistent universe. But like, we were looking at MMORPGs, and EVE Online as well, which you could even argue is an MMORPG, really, if you think about it. But looking at that sense of journey that players go through, right? When you start out in a game like WoW or Final Fantasy 14, right? You're starting out in those starting areas and you're going on a journey through an actual landscape, an actual world, and Bastions is a way for us to build that world and build that space and build that journey that players can then go through. And I think it was, I remember me, CCP Principal, our lead game designer, CCP Ratati and CCP Berger, we were like that. It's always Sunny in Philadelphia meme with the Pepe Silva. We had like 2 whiteboards that we were just scribbling on. And we were like, this, that, when we were kind of all drawing it up. And it just kind of naturally started to come together. And like, I wouldn't say we've perfected it, right? We've only really started building that out, and we'll validate this and build this in the way that we've done previously. We'll make a very early version of Bastions. We'll get it out to our VIPs on Discord, and they'll beat the living shit out of it. And they'll tell us what works, what doesn't work. They'll find ways to break it, and as they inevitably will, they'll make stairs out of it. Who knows? But we'll then take that and then factor that into the feedback that we build. Luckily, this is something we want to start off small. There'll be Bastions will exist as kind of a foundational feature that might be more controlled to begin with when we start early access, but we'll be, with your help and in a live 24/7 environment, it's going to be great as well to evolve Bastions and add that feature set and grow into that idea of you owning your Bastions or your corporations owning Bastions and starting to fight people in the same ways that you fight over territory and everything else in Vanguard. And we'll kind of grow towards that with you kind of, guiding us and course correcting us. Because we talk about us being a small team. We are a tight team. We kind of have to, we were just talking about this. Like we have to min-max game development because we have to think of a way of not spending time on stuff that's crap. And we do that by making something really basic. We build it out of paper mache and held together by sellotape, and we hand it to you and we go, is there something in this? Is there something, what do you think of this? And like the shotguns, like if anyone has played the build today, like those shotguns, I don't want to undersell it, but it's like weeks work, not months work, right? And it's just, that's how we do it. We can't spend 8 months, 9 months, 12 months working on a feature and then going, hey, what do you think? And you go, yeah. Like, because that's not efficient. That's not us using the team that we have efficiently, and that's not how we're going to make a game that's going to last for. I'd love to be doing this in 20 years' time. At the Fanfest 2045, going remember in 2025. That's how I'm going to sound it when I'm 56 years old. Yeah. But that's how we make stuff, and that's how we've been making stuff before. Is we show it to you, you tell us if it's crap or not, and we're not going to spend 8 months on something you think is crap. So you course correct us, you tell us what works, you tell us what is needed, and we then go and build it. And we'll do the same with Bastions. We presented quite a solid vision of what we think Bastions is, but like there's still a lot we need to figure out around that. And it's only with you coming in and playing this and telling us what you think of it, it will become the feature we all need it to be.
Cool. And just adding on that, like we had a conversation ages ago where it's like, are we happy with just like kind of just giving, like from an art direction perspective, are we happy with just giving players like grey boxes? And I'm like, fuck yeah. I think it's like, because we are a tight team, what would be really disheartening is if we spend 8 months on something, we show it to fans and they're like, it's kind of shit. And then we're like, well, we spent 8 months on it and like the whole art team. So yeah, having this sort of like rapid development and kind of getting confidence of the thing that we're making is right for us and not right for us as a team is kind of like, then when we do go to art up, we know then there's already confidence there that it's fun. So it's really cool.
Which is going to lead to a special world premiere announcement today. We're making the banana gun permanent. Yeah, we'll go, yes, banana gun. But that's it. The banana gun was just born out of, we're not going to spend ages making a mining laser. We don't care right now how it looks. Obviously, we do later, but like we decide whether it's crap or not based on how it feels, and we're going to stick a yellow block in your hands and say go mine stuff with it, and that's how we get a good feature.
Yeah, but also, like we're saying with the maps, the way we're developing maps, right? Reusable content and such, it's going to go for everything. So you might be seeing a lot of grey boxing, white boxing, whatever, right now, but it's not a boxed product. Like we are hoping to be here in 20 years, when you're an old man in 56.
Yeah. Talking
I
like
don't know where that came from, man. But we're creating reusable content that we can, as a small team, basically build things out of. So slowly but surely, unfortunately, we're not gonna get more banana guns. We might add the egg back in. Does anyone remember the egg? Yeah, you remember the egg? Yeah, I'm fighting to get it back for you. Yeah, fighting. It's literally, but it's such a good example, right, of what matters to players. So for those of you who don't know, we left a sphere.
It was funny enough, banking drone. It was the early banking drone. It's been misused twice. No, it wasn't
So
a vehicle.
I don't even know where
It was
that
a tank. It was an early prototype of a tank you could ride in. No.
It was a horse.
Yeah. Development director there sweating.
Yeah.
I've just announced vehicles on stage. No, we're not making vehicles yet.
Yeah.
I like the idea of horses because
But that is the
it's
thing.
technically not vehicles. It's not vehicles. It's yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Raven. Go ahead.
It's fine. But that's a good example of what actually matters to players. Because we left this one sphere thing. It was a broken thing, right? And we just had like a bunch of just adult people babysitting a sphere. Like walking around the map with a sphere. And it wasn't even supposed to be there. But it was like the sense of community, everybody coming together to watch out for this bloody sphere. And we were all like, this is a mistake. We spent like 6 months on this. Nobody cares about the 6-month thing. Like, they were like, yeah, that's fine, but that's weird. So that is why it's important, right?
Yeah.
It's important for us to work with you guys to build this, because this is the thing that is important to you guys. It's the sense of fun and the community. And if we want to basically keep you on, right, we have to be able to build content fast, really fast.
So I just want to, speaking of that, we want to give some time to throw over. So, sorry, Peaceful. Sorry, but I really do want to give some time to the audience to ask some questions.
I just wanted to add on to that.
Go ahead.
Oh, crap. Jamie! JS? No, it's gone. You was talking about the community and talking about these like added things. Yeah, the spheres, the egg, everything. Like, so we have this VIP group, right? I mean, they're all like NDA players and stuff, and we get to share, we get to share like behind the scenes, like kind of stuff. Like we have like one-to-one conversations with them, and it's great. It's fantastic because we get like such valuable feedback from them. But every time when I'm like showing them a new feature that's in the game, like the banking drone, for example, we have like, if you imagine in development, we have like a playing field, if you want to call it, like a playing field where you spawn things in and you just play around. I'll be showing them this video of this like banking drone, and like you'll have like 3 or 4 of them being like, "What's in the corner 200 meters away, like so far away?" And I'm like, "No, focus now. We're looking at the banking drone." And they're literally taking this image and they're like, "Oh, can I compare this to EVE Online? Like, what does it look like? Does it look like a banking terminal? What is this? Is this vehicles confirmed?" Like, oh. Anyway, it's just really funny that players will do the opposite of what you tell them, is what I've learned. So.
I think vehicles to us will be like the cat ears. It's almost more important that we never put it in the game to keep the meme alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we have any questions? We got one over here on this side.
I am fighting for the cat ears, by the way. Thank you. You're welcome.
And we're fighting for capes.
There will be no capes. Yeah?
So
Hi there.
I have a question if there's any plans for adding different ways of moving around the map, so things like jet boosters, grappling hooks, wall running, things like that. I realize that that's not really straightforward because that really changes the way that the map plays and can break it in a lot of ways that you might not expect.
Yeah, I can start, and I think CCP Massey might want to elaborate, but like movement tech is like, we've had a lot of conversations about movement tech in the game, like the grappling and the sliding. We want to be really careful because we don't. we don't want to end up being a shooter a bit like Apex Legends, where it's a bit more like who wins in a fight is who can hold your crosshair over the other person the most, and it becomes about dodging and sliding rather than the kind of the more strategic that we want, which is like about pre-combat and like, can I take this person on, rather than not like, oh, can I just slide out of their bullets all the time? That we're always open to more interesting ways for traversal, but I think when it comes to combat, we want to just be really careful that we don't end up straying too much into that form of combat with that you see in something like Apex.
Yeah, definitely. Like I can expand on that a little bit as well. Like when we're talking about developing the different suits, I think it'll be something that we look at as like, what are the suits that are more athletic? What are the suits that are a little heavier and a little bit more difficult to move? But yeah, like Colin said, like the important part for us is that this continues to develop towards a more cerebral PvP shooter experience, and you do undercut that a lot by letting those kind of very dexterous, kind of sporty aspects into the shooter space. So it'll be a case of like allowing people to do more of those things if that's the, you know, the run and gun. We still would need to support the run and gunners that want to play that way, but for the majority of players and the majority of the kind of different archetypes or ways that the suits are going to develop, means that it's much more about the decisions that you're making rather than just whether you can click them in the head, and it's more about when you click them in the head rather than kind of how you avoided getting clicked. But yeah, it's a good question because it comes up all the time on the team, as well as like, when are we adding sliding and stuff. I think the stuff that's more important when it comes to kind of movement tech and how we develop that stuff in the short term is just making it easier and more comfortable to traverse around the map, because the movement stuff has been in a place that's been good enough for a while, but we know that it's somewhere that needs a lot of love moving forward. So it's much more going to be about kind of usability and making it nice rather than making it kind of more extreme.
Awesome. Cheers, Massey. I think we've got a question in the middle.
Oh, wait, just
sorry,
to add on
sorry,
that,
go ahead,
actually, what I think has been really interesting is seeing how players break the game by like getting on top of wreckage. And some of the things that we've talked about is like, oh, it actually looks quite cool. Like, why can't we go on top of wreckage? And then it kind of opens up conversation of, wouldn't it be cool if you could abseil down, and like, what does that mean for then the wreckage and the POIs, and could we in the future maybe design stuff that would allow for those kind of like special things? But yeah, I guess, like I said, nothing planned now, but it's something that we're always talking about on how we can expand that kind of movement.
Yeah, which one of you was up on? There were some people in this room were up on the wreckage shooting journalists in the head all day yesterday. We're going to find all of you. Cool, we've got a question here in the middle. Hey, man.
So where are we at right now with the new player tutorial experience, and where do you plan on being on September 16th?
Yeah, so it's a great question because it's the first thing we prioritized. I'm of the strong opinion, based on a lot of my experience in working in live games, is you never stop working on your tutorial or onboarding. You're always learning new things, and it becomes about marginal gains, right? Just a little bit of friction here and a little bit of friction there. Just fixing those things can go a long way. So it is actually a big focus for us for September. So we are building, and we've got early versions already of the new player journey, those kind of 5 deployments that we talked about in the keynote. It's in the build by accident. There we go. So we've got early versions of those. So it will be a fundamental part of what will be playable in September. Is everyone who starts from September will be going through that onboarding and journey, and will be, really looking for feedback, and importantly getting data from that as well, because then we've got another 6 months after that to make the improvements that we need for, because when we turn on early access, you can't turn that back off again, right? So we need to make sure that we've got a really decent onboarding that's teaching people the right components of the game in the right order, and for people that haven't played this game before, making sure, maybe haven't even played EVE before, right, can come into the experience and stay and be part of the universe without it feeling too bumpy for them.
We've got a question here.
Okay, so hi, I am an industrialist, and because I am on Linux, I doubt that I will be able to play summer 2026, but will there be any way for me to interact with Vanguard from EVE during early access? You already told me that I won't be able to make tanks, sadly, but will there be any economy connected between games?
We have to be quite careful. There's some stuff we want to sort out on our side first. There's some stuff just in Vanguard. We have to get the meta Vanguard right first before we kind of expand that out. But we're always looking at those touch points that we can make with EVE Online. Freelance jobs, which only got announced this weekend, right, I think is a fantastic opportunity to spread across both games, like people in EVE Online sending out freelance jobs to those in Vanguard. The commission system that we're working on as well, I think there's some overlap there potentially with corporation projects, with corporations being able to make their own commission trees that they can give to people in their organization, so they can complete assignments and earn rewards and get paid essentially being part of a corporation. So I think there's, in terms of the job economy and the work economy, I think there's some interesting links there. But what we'll likely be doing when we've got a lot of the Vanguard meta around Bastions working is Bastions do exist in New Eden. There is only one New Eden, and thinking about how those Bastions aren't just a layer of Vanguard, they're affecting New Eden as a whole, and it becomes a bit more important in EVE Online as well.
Yeah, I imagine them as a bridges between games, in a way, not only hubs for Vanguard.
I completely agree with you, yeah.
Oh, and a Quake rocket launcher, which got imported to TF2.
Yep, noted.
Hi. So, as the CEO of Dusty University, I was like a massive advocate for social spaces in the CPM, and the PS3 was somewhat limited in that. Now, I've spoken to Shortfall a couple of times about the social spaces that you're hopefully going to have in Vanguard. Are you in a sort of competition to get prelimination and walking in stations first?
We hear that a lot. We hear walking in stations a lot first, which is we might proto get that in the sense that beyond the mangrove swamps, we are already talking about what our next biome might be, and it might be ship interiors. Who knows? So not walking in stations. Yeah. Yeah, not walking in stations, fucking fighting in stations, yeah. So that might be something we want to explore, but obviously that's just very early conversations about what we think might be a cool new thing to look at. But like the social spaces in Bastions especially, like I don't think you can make an MMO without there being some form of social space. And if you're in a human perspective in Vanguard, you need a social space in a human perspective too. So I think walking around and interacting with other players and I just think sounds really cool, and we'd be remiss with the Bastion system to not lean into that. And I think there's some really cool opportunities as well with, different Bastions in different parts of space looking entirely different. And what we want to do as well is putting the customization of what your Bastion looks like, if it is your Bastion you've created or your corporation's Bastion, having a lot of agency as to actually styling that out and having that be your own personal space. Awesome. Eventually. Yeah. Coming for early access. Social No, it's a hard undertaking, and like I said, there's a lot about Bastions at the surface level we need to really nail first before we go down too deep. That's like kind of that min-max approach that we take. We're not gonna we need to prove that Bastions at a meta level can work before we start to invest in the more cosmetic or social layer of it.
There's an amazing player called Macintosh who actually he plays on VR chat, and he's made his own VR world, and it's a Warbarge, and it's a Warbarge, and it's he hosts events on it for like all the like dust bunnies and stuff, and it's so incredible to see all of these, like sometimes there's like 60 odd people turning up to these events, and it's literally hosted on VR chat with a Warbarge that he's built, like he's created from the assets of like old dust, and it's so incredible to be there and have this like that kind of social space is definitely something that I look forward to seeing in the future, to have it in Vanguard, not outside of the game.
It raises a great point as well that the war barge as well will be eventually its own little micro social space. Like, Vipex talked about the war barge right now. The first instance of it will be a bit like a TV set, right? That it'll be a camera here and then you'll move to a camera here. But like we do eventually want you walking around your own war barge and having your squad mates on that war barge with you.
Yeah, no, I think, and the way that we're looking at the Warbarge at the moment is that it's built in like almost like a kind of a large carousel. So after you are born, you're kind of taking down these different chambers, and these chambers almost have like kind of like modular rooms. So in the future, we have kind of like talked about the idea of, wouldn't it be cool if we did have like a firing range? So how can we build the space to allow for things to kind of expand, and so you can walk around in and wear your suit, then pick your weapon, and then go to the firing range, shoot, and then tweak stuff. And I think just not thinking about the long term now is important, because then it kind of means we don't kind of paint ourselves into a corner. But
And I really like the idea of a firing range on the wall barge. I think right now having to deploy down to the surface of a planet to validate the chipsets you've put on your weapon are actually going to work or not. So having a way to fire and test your weapons out on the wall barge, I think, is really important. And I think even technically, we've become a lot closer to being able to achieve that recently by the first deployment as part of the onboarding is going to be offline. You're going to be on your own in an instance. So that's unlocking a lot of stuff for us that we can now start doing and having some of the gunplay replicated offline, so such as a firing range.
A question up here.
Hi. So what's the plan for Insurgency? I mean, currently you've got a 9v9, but you're looking to expand that to 16v16 is when you do the kind of early access?
Yeah, we'll keep pushing at it. A lot of the reasons that it's a 9v9 is for some technical reasons and what we're capable of doing in terms of the performance cost of the server for having as many players as we can in an instance at once, that we're constantly trying to push at, because the Insurgency that you're playing now is still just a prototype, so it hasn't gone through a lot of hardening that will allow us to push that. But yeah, we didn't settle on 9v9 for a meta kind of reason. We always want to keep pushing that, and we've had lots of internal tests on seeing what the performance is on like a 12v12 and stuff like that. But the plan with Insurgency is that we'll keep doing it. We're not necessarily focusing too much on it right now, because a lot of the level design work is going in on the onboarding. But we want to be creating new arenas for Insurgency maps to keep taking place in. We've got some, like, I think there was an exercise we just had a new lead level designer, and he created a new kind of Insurgency style map inspired by some CSGO maps, or some just general Counter-Strike maps, to kind of cut his teeth at our tools that have been done. And there's some really cool ideas that we can do to create different arenas there. But it might not be in the limelight for a lot of the new stuff that's coming in, but it's certainly not going to fall away. I think that structured PvP is a huge part of the core loop. And so we'll constantly be pushing at that numbers and getting more kind of maps and arenas for that out in the future as well.
I think what we'll also see with the Insurgencies is that they'll change quite a lot just as different parts of the core game develop. Like, as we introduce more weapons and more kind of tactical equipment, more, eventually suitabilities and different deployables, like that Insurgency experience is going to change and grow, even if we're not focusing specifically on it. And I think that's again, to the kind of min-maxing of game development, as we have to look at all the sort of cross-referencing that all of our features have. So as we add a new suit, it's not just a case of like, oh, we've added a new suit and that's one new little content drop. You go, well, it changes this and it changes that and it changes this. So eventually, I want to see all different types of shapes and sizes of Insurgency events. But in the short term, there will be an amount of development that goes on it just as a result of the different things that we're doing.
Awesome. And we've got a final question in the front row here. Hey.
So with EVE Online, we have PC and we have Mac. When are we going to see Vanguard for the Mac?
Not yet. It's work. That's the gist of it. There are some problems we want to solve first. Controller support is something we want to get working on PC. Yeah, we then have to start. We then have to think about console, right? That is something we've always been quite vocal about wanting to go to. We know that CCP has a really great history of supporting Mac. Unreal 5 and Mac it's a slightly tricky alignment at the moment. There's some things you just don't get by porting the game to Mac, and it is work, and it is work that we could eventually do. But and there is, like I say, the business is aligned with the idea of supporting that, but it's just when along the journey it comes to, right? Like I said, early access will still be focusing on PC, thinking about what our console journey is. But I don't want to say no at this point to you, but we have evaluated the work, and it might be something that comes later down the line.
Actually, I know you've been waiting a long time. Do you want to throw out your question? Yeah?
Go ahead.
So I understand in the keynote you said that even though the deafness gives you life, you can turn away from their service. There's a long-term intention that, although I understand players like to play agents of chaos, there are also those like myself who like to play characters on the side of law and order serving the empires. Will there ever be a point where you can formally align yourself with, say, the Galente Federation or the Caldari State or the Republic, for
Oh
example?
yeah, 100%. So we don't want it to be a bit of a binary choice. Like you don't just press a button and go, hey, I'm Galante now. We want there to be a deeper reputation system. That will actually be, the commission system will be the first thing that sees that. So if you want to build a reputation with Galante, you'll be taking on Galante commissions, completing work for them, and you'll start gaining reputation with that. And then that really, the reputation you carry is a choice that you made. We do want there, however, to be like a slight uneasy balance with reputation. Doing work for somebody might be pissing somebody else off, and so reputation isn't a thing that you can completely complete across the board. You know, I've got perfect reputation with everyone. There's always going to be a to and a fro that's happening, so there's always going to be some choices that you might make further down the line where, you know, you've built up such a good reputation with somebody else that it's actually diminished your reputation here, and you might find yourself in a pocket of space where that having that reputation might be quite useful, and that you have to start changing your allegiances somehow.
It's reassuring to hear, and why would you want to be friends with anyone anyway?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I was hoping to just do a quick whip round of everybody just to get like final thoughts on Vanguard 2025, Fanfest 2025, yeah, your sort of takeaways. Yes, starting with Massey at the end.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first Fanfest as well, so for me it's just been amazing to come and sort of, yeah, thanks. Yeah, for me, like it's been you know, eye-opening seeing the passion that the EVE Online community has, and actually how much people have kind of embraced Vanguard as well. I think we know that ultimately, like, there's a certain proportion of people that are looking forward to this, and another proportion of people that are going, hey, don't mess with my my EVE Online experience. But yeah, I think that's been very validating. Like, we've had lots and lots of nice feedback, and people have been just so pleasant. And yeah, it's given me a whole new perspective on what the community is. So that's been my favorite part, to be honest.
Yeah, this is also my first Fanfest. Thank you. But yeah, no, like it's just been great to see everyone being excited about what we've shown the last couple of days, and I think that gives me like confidence that we kind of thought what we're doing is kind of the right thing, but you don't really know until you show people and kind of get the feedback, and I think, yeah, I'm just kind of confident going forward, and yeah, it's just great to kind of speak to everyone and have a beer, and I'm sure we'll be doing that later as well. So yeah, I'll see you guys later.
Woo! Yeah, I think this is my, I'm not sure which one. I think it's my 8th or 9th Fanfest, but. Woo! But yeah, no, I started out giving out shots of Black Death to you. Sorry, way back when, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to be back. The community has always been lovely, and being able to bring something to you and hoping, coming out here, we're basically putting everything on the table and just hoping that like it's very vulnerable for all of us to come and like actually search, because we know you're so passionate about EVE Online and like trying to make you happy, and you've all been so amazing. You made this the best Fanfest yet. Like, it's amazing. Thank you.
My name's Peaceful, and I'm oh no, it's not that kind of meeting, is it? It's really difficult to put into words. Like, so I've been to a lot of like gaming events, but they've always been like general gaming events, right? It's never specific to like one game. And FanFest with EVE EVE players is just, it's crazy. Like, we're in a beautiful country. We're talking about a spaceship game. We're talking about like shooting guns and stuff. And it's like, I'm just in awe, like all the time. But yeah, this is my first FanFest, and yep. And honestly, like over the last couple of days, I think like even though it's been probably quite a little bit stressful, I guess, the players have definitely made it for me. Like it's just such a really good bonding exercise, and just like hanging out with players and making new friendships and stuff is fantastic. So.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of shared some of the sentiments of everyone. Really, like, you do come here with a lot of vulnerability, right? That we are just showing everything, warts and all, right? Like the build upstairs is something we pulled from the build, our servers 2 weeks ago. The shotguns that we're showing are prototypes that we put together. It's you always hope and you have this internal confidence that what we're showing is good and what we're showing is right. And whilst we get a lot of good validation, a lot of course correcting from our VIPs in our own community, when you're on stage in front of a load of people that, let's be honest, a lot of people at the auditorium yesterday for the keynote were there for EVE, right? So you're getting on stage and you're presenting a title to them that might not be, what they're playing at the moment and not why they're there, and you're wanting to convince them that this is generally exciting to be something to be excited about, not cautious about. To hear the roar back and to hear the applause and the feedback and just bumping into people and just being told that what we're showing is really great, that we're doing a great job, that the press are getting really excited. It's just like it's a huge validation that we bring the work of more than just 4 people here, right? There's a whole team back in London that are pouring their hearts into this game, and we bring it here going, oh, we really hope everyone likes it. So to have that breath of fresh air, that we're getting all of this amazing support and feedback this early on, like we're still pre-alpha, right? Like we're talking about early access, which is the first step for a lot of games. Like in the industry right now, you wouldn't be hearing about this at all until summer 2026. So the fact that we're doing this so early and getting this feedback and getting this excitement is crazy for me. And for somebody who worked on a project before this for 4 years that never saw the light of day, like just going through this process is amazing for me. It's all inspiring, and I think it's all mainly because of you. We could do this, we did dry runs and rehearsals, I've rehearsed as much of this to a mirror. It doesn't have the same feel, right? This is your game, and the fact that you're accepting us in and you're enjoying what you're seeing is just, it's gonna make me cry. Yeah, but sorry, long spiel, but thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Cheers, everybody. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. As some of the guys said, we're all, I speak for myself, I guess. I'm a super introverted person. This is terrifying, and cheers. It's like super vulnerable. We're showing the game to everybody, and start putting faces to names and sort of meeting people has been really, really nice. And it's sort of, just like seeing some of the people sit down in the front. I was like, okay, this is going to be okay. If you're not already part of the Discord, please do join that. We're on there quite often. We try to chat as much as we can. We join video calls like once every couple of weeks, I think it is. We're going to try and sort of ramp that up now as we get towards early access. If you haven't wishlisted the game, please do that, because that really helps us and sort of shows us that we're moving in the right helps us to feel that we're moving in the right direction. And it also really helps the algorithms. It's a really big deal if you can do that. But otherwise, please join me thanking the panel for their awesome work over the past couple of days. Thanks everybody.
Right, fuck off.